Good morning, guys, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to upgrade the coil springs on the Jeep. So I'm getting the 4.5 inch front coil springs from Rubicon Express, and I'm probably going to run at least a 2-inch spacer, because I also bought new leaf springs for the back. And the 4.5 inch springs were on back order, so I ended up just going ahead and buying the 5.5 inch. So we need the front at least 6 and the back 5.5. So here is the front coil springs I ordered at the Rubicon Express, 4.5 inch. If I would have known that I couldn't get the 4.5 inch leaf spring just yet, then I would have went ahead and just bought the 5.5 inch coil springs, but there's already a spacer on this one. So I'm going to try to put these springs on without using a spring compressor. I think if I disconnect the shock, should be able to have enough room to put the new coil spring on. And this Jeep don't have a front sway bar. I took it off, so I should be able to drop the axle enough to put the new spring in without using a spring compressor. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to jack one side of the axle up. I'm going to get some jack stands and put on this side of the unibody. And I'll go ahead and take his tire off. So you need to take out the 2 shock bolts, and we'll go ahead and move that out of the way. Now I'm going to slowly let the jack down. That should give us enough room to put the new coil in. And after you do that, you need to get a 14mm socket. You need to remove that bolt that holds that bracket on right there. That keeps the coil spring from moving. With the axle down, I ended up putting the spring over here. I took a pry bar and gently worked its way over. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall the bracket and tighten it up. Now we'll reinstall the shock. Now we'll reinstall the tire. Then we'll go to the other side and do the same thing. Alright, so the 4.5 inch springs are now on. Definitely rides a lot better now. So now I'll back the Jeep in, we'll put the rear springs on. So right here is the new leaf springs, the Rubicon Express, 5.5 inch. So now I'm going to get 2 jack stands. I'm going to put them on the front of the axle on the unibody. That way we'll be able to raise and lower the axle. Now we're also going to put some jack stands under the axle to keep the axle from falling when we take the U-bolts out. So you might want to spray all these bolts before you start taking everything off, because these bolts are known to break, especially on these Jeeps. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is take these U-bolts off. So now we need to unbolt our shock at the bottom. Be sure the axle is supported before you remove that bolt so the axle don't fall. We won't be running the drop shackles anymore because we won't need them with the new leaf springs. So I'm going to go ahead and take the top bolt out. We'll be putting the stock shackles back on. Alright, after you remove that bolt, you're going to come up under the back door, and there's going to be another bolt right up here on the front. You need to remove it. Alright, so I finally got that bolt out. I got the leaf springs off. Now this bolt, I actually end up having to cut it off. So if you look up inside there, from the factory they had a nut welded up in there, and that broke loose. So I ended up having to cut that off, and I found out a way to access that. So right here, you can actually cut a little square out just like I did, and you'll be able to get a wrench on that and break that nut loose. So to make things a little bit easier, I got this bracket, it's got a nut welded to it, and I was able to just slide that up in there, and that'll make it easier to put the bolt up in there. So that's what I come up with to fix that. There's other ways of doing it. I was thinking at first to cut behind there, but then I actually looked on Bleepin' Jeep's videos, and this is what he ended up doing. So I think that works out pretty good. Alright, now we'll go ahead and tighten everything back up. I had to get some longer U-bolts. These are Rubicon Express. So we'll put everything back together, then we'll do the other side. Alright, so the leaf spring's in on this side now, same way as the other side, and this front bolt actually come out on this side, so I didn't have to cut anything out. Everything went on this side pretty good. Alright, so let's put the tires back on, see how everything looks. Alright, so I put the tires back on, and something I noticed is the driveline angle. So I ordered some shims. They're 6 degree, and they go right under the leaf springs. So I'm going to install them. That should help with the driveline angle. All you have to do is take the center pin out of your leaf springs, and you'll put this right under the leaf spring. And these shims come with longer center bolts.